Thanks for joining another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. I'm Tish Taylor with Concerned Citizens of St. John. I hope you're enjoying our podcast, that you're receiving the education. That's the purpose of the podcast, and that you're actually putting some things into action. That's what we want, education into action. So today, we are honored with our guest from the Anthropocene Alliances in New Orleans, Louisiana. We call them A2. Ms. Tanya Harris-Glasow and Mr. Christopher Williams are going to join us today. We've worked together in advocacy. They love our toxic tour, and so I'm just happy to just talk to you guys, talk about the advocacy with them and what it means to come into the river parishes and work with fence line communities. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, Tanya, you are the Director of Community
Organizing.
Okay.
Yes, right.
Tell me what that means.
So just to back it up, so A2 is an environmental organization, and it is nationwide.
Okay.
And what there are 400 member organizations in every state and territory in the United States. And the point was to empower fence line communities to do the work that they do and support that work. In 2024, we kind of took a turn, and not just basically saying we've got 400 plus organizations. How do you galvanize those organizations and help them to galvanize their communities around justice, environmental justice? And so they, Anthropocene Alliance, they hired me. I have a bit of a background in community organizing. One of your former guests, I was actually working with him back in the day, in the Katrina days. I cut my teeth on Katrina organizing in New Orleans. I'm originally from the Lower Ninth Ward, generations deep, and the work that I did around Katrina for social justice, the organization A2 wanted to utilize that skill set to bring community organizing to the environmental sphere and to the membership of A2. And so I got on board.
That's excellent. And who is this person that I've interviewed before?
The wonderful General Honoré.
Yeah.
Oh, the General.
The General.
The General.
I'm telling him that I've claimed him as my uncle General.
Uncle General. I love it.
And Chris, tell me about yourself. You're a community organizing manager.
Yes, so I work with Tanya, and my focus is on 5 states, including Louisiana. Where
we've added a 6th state.
Well, we've added a 6th, yes. Where we focus on pooling all of our efforts together with all of our different groups in those 6 states to form a state organizing committee that pushes the agenda of our frontline groups to make sure that we hold people accountable for the disastrous effects of pollution, of the toxic water and the toxic air, and all of the effects that we see along not just here in Louisiana, but throughout most of the South and throughout our country. We are experiencing in the past year and a half some of the most devastating effects of policies by our government. Mm-hmm. So we want to hold the government and the people and places and politicians and companies accountable.
Right. So you're the person in charge with Louisiana Grassroots United?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So the local group here, Louisiana Grassroots United, we have over 20 some odd groups who have joined us, and we have been working together since about a year now, and we have some victories already on the board, and we want to continue to push and advocate for all of our groups who we work with throughout the whole entire state.
Yes. So I attend, of course, Concerned Citizens is a part of Louisiana Grassroots United, and the most important thing is for people who have the capacity to understand that we just people who are finding out about this life that we're living, being exposed to all these toxins, and it's not what we do.
Right.
We don't have the capacity, and in most cases we don't have the funding to even hire someone with the capacity.
Right.
So when you show up and say, look, we have this training, we want to know what you need us to do, how can we help, organize, how can you do this, it's so critical for us. It is such a blessing that you guys come, and then you're kind of nice.
We try to be.
Tanya showed up at one of our meetings, and I'm going to tell you, Rihanna, who's our administrator, she was like, we didn't know what to do with the computer. We were trying to connect the YouTube video to the laptop to show at a training. She was like, oh, you need some training with that. Y'all need some. Yeah, I'm like, oh.
Trying to get you involved with training.
Yes.
I think that's one of the things that A2 does well, and we continue to do. As we made that shift, we didn't move away from capacity building.
Yeah.
So, for a lot of the organizations that are under our umbrella, I mean, the first thing we want to do is see if we could find, the first thing people need is money. Let's get that on the table. You can't do the work that you do. And so our capacity building was, pairing various partners that we have, from pro bono legal assistance to, to GIS mapping.
Yeah.
And then also utilizing the folks in our development team to help either to pair you with a grant, help you to edit your grant if you've already written it, and give you some tips. Or we have written grants as the organization, and then distributed funds, and our members are grantees, and that's very helpful for some folks who don't have the C3 status, or for those who are not yet established. So giving those funds, helping folks to put those get the funds in those folks' hands, helps them to do the things that they do on a daily basis. You just said something very, very, very important. You said that a lot of these groups are just people who are fighting back in their communities. They're not professional environmentalists.
Right.
That's the part that I think the A2 recognized as a whole, as an organization, is that you don't need to be a big green to do the work. As a matter of fact, the work is more sincere, it's more direct, and it's more effective if it's coming from the community.
Yeah. Well, I hope so, because when we started, we had no idea what we were doing. We just had the passion.
Doesn't seem like it.
And I was running, I was running from it, altogether. And my dad was trying to do it. And there was a lot of people who came and volunteered to set up things for us, to help us get started. But then they moved on to the next crisis. Mm-hmm. And we were still there like, okay, so we have these things. We don't even remember the password. Right. We don't know how to get back connected to all of this stuff, to learn how to do this. And then if we have any problems, we can always call you back and say, can you tell us again how are we supposed to do this? Or we got somebody new now that we can then may be able to understand, the new generation of stuff. And we need that. And also the opportunities for grants are so important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let me say something that I would never have known that you didn't know what you were doing. If you mention your name in any circle, mm-hmm. inside and outside Louisiana, it's cachet, baby. I'm on the phone with somebody who's a prospective member, and I'm saying, we're Louisiana Grassroots United and A2, and they're like, I said, Tish Taylor is a part of it, and they're like, oh, well, if Tish Taylor, honey, your name has so much value. The work that you and Mr. Robert have done thus far is so incredible, and so many people recognize that. And as I just mentioned, it's sincere work.
Yeah.
You're authentic. You simply want to do the best. You and Mr. Robert simply want to do the best thing for your community, for your families, and for yourselves.
Yeah.
And that's what our organization is made up of. And the community organizing portion of it is just simply, these are people who are already staked in their community. How do you expand their reach? How do you get them to have their own members? How do you get them to galvanize their communities? You can't, if you're a frontline community, more than likely you have one employee, possibly, and some volunteers. Mm. You're doing the best that you can with what you have. Yeah. When we instituted the community organizing portion of it, a lot of it is about outreach. A lot of it is about not just outreach, but membership building, movement building, growth, showing you how to actually expand yourself, get into the community, and the folks that attend your meetings can become your members. One of the core tenets of organizing for me has always been how to seek out ways for the not just self-sufficiency, but for a group to actually fund itself. And so we haven't crossed the realm in the work that we're doing right now into that, but I do intend to sort of teach groups how to actually develop a membership card and have people paying dues.
Yeah.
There's no reason why somebody who you've been working for in your community would not support you with $10 a month in order to keep you going, keep some lights on, keep the robo-dialer rolling, keep the podcast going. And so I would like to see that happen in some of these groups because they have communities and a base that they serve. And so I think it'd be great. Also, those are good. Let me be very honest with you. When you have membership dues and you have dues paying members, that also is leverage for various grants. A funder can look at that and say, hey, wait, this person's actually not just waiting for the next grant. They're actually being proactive about getting money into the doors.
Yes.
And that promotes growth. And the other piece of that is if I pay you my $10 a month, I want to know what you're doing with it. It is a system of accountability for
Yes.
like none other. But again, that's another level, another layer that we're going to begin to sort of explore with our members. But for right now, it's about getting the folks in Louisiana, the groups that do the real work, not a fancy, smancy person who's, and there's nothing wrong with that, but people who do that real on-the-ground work, have them come together and work as a unit to push this state to do better.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
They can do better. There's no reason why the state should be poisoning its people with our tax dollars, and
We're paying them to do
we're
it.
paying them to kill us.
Absolutely.
And
And people
so-
don't understand that. How do we get that message across? With this podcast, it is a way of communicating with people, with our community at their convenience. They can look at this podcast and get information when they're relaxing. When they're working out, they can listen to it. When they're driving, they can listen to it. To be educated and hopefully understand that they could participate actively,
They can be
with
Tish.
this. We can, no, nobody can be Tish. But they definitely can be them,
Yes.
a greater version of
Of
themselves.
themselves.
Because who
Amen.
knew? I had no idea. I can talk, but I never thought I'd be sitting here with cameras pointing at me, actually, speaking with people who are trained professionals to do this, and that's growth that I never even. You get pushed when you find that little that keeps hitting at you and gnawing at you. You gotta just kind of. You got to do something,
Yeah.
And that's what we want to inspire. And then as we are inspired to do these things, all of a sudden, here comes Anthropocene Alliance. Here comes all these coalitions that we can join to build a better organization
Yes.
with us. Not to take credit for what we're doing, not to do any other stuff, only
Support
to just
the work.
support
Support the
the
work.
work. It's wonderful.
Support the work and amplify the work and amplify the voices. And so if we have somebody, our communications manager or somebody on our team who can get you into the New York Times, or you know what I'm saying, or get you into onto a national stage in any way, shape, form, fashion, media-wise. We want to do that because guess what? When you're in the Washington Post, even though, I don't know, some people may not like the Washington Post right now, but if you're in the Washington Post or the New York Times or whichever publication, or you're amplified in different settings, that also brings not only attention to your, that helps you with momentum and helps you to build momentum on your issue and moving it forward. Or I like to call it, it's a campaign. Once it gets started, it's a campaign. But it also brings attention for your funding-wise. You also amplify your portfolio, your work portfolio rather, so that you can attract other funders, larger funders, who are looking for ways to fund people who are doing this type of work.
Yeah.
And so that's what we always want to act as an amplifier for everything that our members, we support, but also act as an amplifier and a multiplier for their work if we possibly can.
Okay. Now, we also receive funds to help after a flooding
We
event
We
in
have a
St. John
mutual
Parish.
aid fund as well.
Mutual
That's
aid
correct.
fund. Do you want to tell me about that, Chris? You want to tell me about it?
Tanya's more into the
mutual
knowledge
aid.
of the mutual aid than I am.
It's pretty simple. We have, A2 has a mutual aid fund, and it is a member-led.
Yes.
And so, so the members themselves sort of, we raise funds for that purpose, for emergency situations, flooding, when there's maybe just all of a sudden a natural disaster, or there's a situation like, Jackson had the water crisis, and we raised funds to send, bottled water, what we could. But the bottom line is that the mutual aid fund has been, I think, for a lot of folks, a little bit of a lifeline, which we are really excited about.
Yeah.
And it just started with, we just needed it. I think that A2 functions in the way, and God bless Harriet Festing. Harriet Festing
Yes.
was the founder of A2, and now she's stepped away a little bit to take care of her ailing parents. And just to sort of galvanize, gather herself, because it's been a whirlwind rather. But she was she's operating the same as you are, that the groups do. There's a need. Let's fill the need.
Yeah.
This, no grandiose plans. There is a need. Let's fill the need.
Yeah.
So when she just, when actually I think it was a board decision to fund a mutual aid fund, and then to have various members of the board and the advisory committee basically make the decisions and structure it.
Yeah.
And so we are very happy that somebody can lean on us for money for generators, or blankets, or water, or supplies.
And
or
we did
food.
that. We did supplies, we did food, and we actually put people in hotels for a few days
Yes.
till that house was kind of gutted and they were able to go back in, but the mold was gone, because that's so important. And that's something that you need right away. And a lot of times we have funding, but it's limited and it's made for specific lines.
Right.
You use this much money for this.
Right.
And there wasn't anything that said sweep into Mount Airy and while these people are gutting their houses, this mother with 5 children, well, let's just put her in a hotel, her and her children in a hotel where it's safe and clean until they can start gutting, because they actually had to do the work themselves. And so, I mean, that was wonderful. So it was great to deliver supplies, but also to get them into a safe place while doing it.
We're happy to do that. I think that's what is at the core of the organization, and how do you act quickly?
Yeah.
Things. I think being an environmental organization, we know that disasters and there's lots of environmental factors to disasters, and not just disasters. But understanding those things, how do you act quickly? How do you get something on the ground quickly for someone? How do you move that? And we're just happy to have. I think that for a lot of us, we're thrilled that we have members who do the work.
Yeah.
Because guess what? I mean, at the end of the day, you're out there distributing. You're finding these. You're helping people. You have that contact. You have that personal contact with that person.
Right.
You're moving that person out of a dangerous situation, out of a disaster, into a safer situation. You are doing that as an organization. And again, going back to what A2 has always done, just want to support the work.
Yeah.
You know?
Love that.
That's what we do.
Tell me what you're doing, Chris. So we have a couple of different things here in Louisiana. The general was just here. We have a situation going on, as you know, up in Roseland, where we have they are continuing to have to recover from the explosion. We are looking for groups to join us who are involved there, and seeing if we can get on the ground to help some of the people who are in desperate need of help. Just this past weekend, I was just happened to see aerial shots of water and different waterways that surround the area, and they released runoff from Smitty's that, again, it just showed re-established oil all over the area. So there's going to be a huge push for that. Next week there's going to be a meeting up in Roseland on, I believe, March the 9th, where there's going to be a town hall to try to hold people accountable for that. Here, of course, you're still dealing with Danka and still dealing with all the plants, but what we really want to focus on is to try to put a moratorium here statewide on putting new petrochemical plants in Cancer Alley.
Absolutely.
We have, we have extended enough of the economic development as we can in this area as far as petrochemicals is concerned. We have up and down both sides of the river from New Orleans to Baton Rouge. And it has become a situation that is untenable for the people who live here. So many of Louisiana is one of the few states in the South where people are actually leaving the state and less people are coming in. And one of the main reasons for that is because of the fact that people do not want to live in areas where their family is going to be affected through environmental issues.
Right.
And this area unfortunately is the front fence line of all of these petrochemical companies. So we want to hold the state accountable. We want to say no to all of these new projects. We understand that the state needs economic development, but we would like to have Louisiana diversify its economy, to say the least, and not continue to bring in more and more and more companies along the river that are going to essentially poison people.
Yeah.
We've seen, all over the state. We have in the northern part of the state now, up in the Shreveport area, there's the governor just announced a multi-billion-dollar data center that's coming online. We've read nationwide about what the effects of data centers are, not only financially to the communities with rising utility bills. We also see that these data centers also have noise issues, noise pollution. There's also pollution in the air. There's also pollution in the water because these data centers take a lot of water into them. And once this water goes in, it gets polluted and then it comes back out, right?
Yeah.
So we really have a situation here where we understand that Louisiana wants to expand its economic development, but it should not come at the cost of the health and safety of its people.
That's right.
Well, living here and hearing the phrase, it's for economic development, we know that's just like, it's not real. It's a lie. That's a nice way to put it. It's a lie. The people along the river do not experience economic development. Our parish is losing people every day because there's no jobs. So don't tell me that economic development, that means that there's jobs for the community. That means that there's infrastructure upgrades in our community. That means that our school systems should be flourishing. And we see none of those things because they don't pay the taxes and they don't hire in the community. So the people who do pay property taxes for their nice houses, they live somewhere else. So they're not, the plant doesn't pay their share of property taxes, and the people who they hire are not living here, so they don't make groceries here. That's what we do. We make groceries. They don't make groceries. They don't eat lunch here. They don't do anything to contribute to this area. They go home to their parish, to their neighborhoods, and in most cases, of course, cleaner air away from the river, and that's where their communities flourish. So we are doing economic development. We're providing it, but just not for this parish. We get the toxins. We get the poor school system, the poor drainage system. We get all the poor stuff. And these people constantly say it's for economic development. We're going to bring 100 jobs. Sometimes they'll say 10. But the fact is they get tax breaks for every job that they propose that they're going to bring ahead of time. But there's no requirement for them to hire anyone in the community. And we know for a fact, as per Kim Terrell's, research, that according to the Department of Labor, the people in the frontline community do not get the jobs
Yeah.
in the community where the plants are.
Just talking
And
about the
huge
data
problem.
centers, the data centers and what
They bring nothing.
They bring nothing. They only bring about 50 jobs per data center. They basically, just strip the natural resources, and then they add to the grid. So now you're not even providing jobs for people to pay for the exorbitant utility costs that are going to come along with these data centers.
Yeah.
And so I think it's almost like a playbook, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like the industrial playbook.
It is.
And I'm going to let Chris even speak to that, because I think he's definitely had.
Well, we see right up the river, Rise St. John is
St. James.
Right, St. James. Pardon me. They have a new plant that's coming online that's going to talk about minerals that we need to develop here in the United States that was being developed in China, but
Right.
but now we want to put it here once again on the Mississippi River, and the impact is so little compared to the economically compared to the impact of the environment.
Yeah.
And the data centers is even more
Yeah.
of a cost versus impact.
Right.
You look at, mainly the employees of data centers are people who work security jobs, who secure those centers.
Okay.
It's not going to be, hundreds of people who are going to be working in those facilities. Most of those facilities are automated.
Right.
So it is. We need to, as a country, and it's not just here in Louisiana, I mean, it's in all of the states, we need to, as a country, look at what we are doing to our environment, what we are doing to the people who live in the communities that we're bringing these prospective plants into, and look at what the impact is going to be on the people who live there.
Yeah.
I was just in Mississippi, and in Pascagoula, there's a neighborhood called Cherokee, and so many of those people have had to move because they're surrounded by oil refineries and different industrialization, that over 90% of the residents tested positive for cancer. The house after house has been leveled and just flat, like we've seen after Katrina, just flat cement blocks.
So they purchased the people's homes?
In many cases, the people abandoned their homes and just tore the house down and just left it.
I think, but there is a buyout situation happening there because of community organizing.
And because of because of community organizing, and we are going to continue to knock doors and try to put pressure on these companies to help buy these residents out. But this is something that's going on all over, and unless we put together, and the one thing that's great about Anthropocene Alliance and what's great about the idea of the state organizing committees is that so many of our groups, like this Cherokee group, don't have the capacity to get people to go out and knock on doors, to get people to make the telephone calls. So if we pull all of our groups together, then we have that capacity.
Right.
So that is one of the best ideas that I've seen. That's one of the reasons why I joined Day 2, is because we really need to pool our efforts together, because there's strength in numbers.
Absolutely.
And if we go down to City Hall or go to a meeting, and instead of there being 3 or 4 people there's 400, there's going to be a different reaction to that.
Totally different. That's the crux of community organizing. And I have a shameless plug.
Oh yeah.
Because we want to see that type of let's get down to City Hall. Let's move in unison. And so I cannot. I think it's I can't individually train each member group. There's 400 of them. Actually, 400 plus, like 430 groups.
That's awesome.
So we are putting together a community organizing institute. We put together a community organizing institute, and we're starting to do quarterly a 3-workshop series where we teach people the basics of community organizing. We teach, not people, groups, the basics of community organizing, why it's important to the work that you do, and how you can multiply your own work and your efforts. And then outreach, show them how to do outreach,
Awesome.
how to actually get volunteers, how to galvanize the community, give them what to say, how to say it, and when to say it, and then talk about how you put together your rap, your issues, and what you want to talk about out into social media. And then the last of the series, the third part of the series, is advocacy. We want to make sure that in this punitive environment, this very toxic political environment that we have, that when groups who are used to simply doing education, let's say that some group is just used to doing educational pieces and giving out pamphlets or educating people about the environment, and they want to make that turn into community organizing, and to, as Chris said, we want to address the powers that be. We want to make sure that they're not addressing the powers that be and hurting themselves in their grant funding.
Yeah.
Or their 501c3 is audited, or picked on because of the work that they do. We want to keep people safe. We want to do the work. We want to teach them how to do the work. We want to teach them how to do that work safely, to safeguard their own ability to continue to go on.
Yes.
And we don't want them to get in any trouble doing it. We want to let them know, some of the do's and don'ts. And so we will have that part of that series of workshops. But again, that first one is organizing 101.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
How to do this. I know Miss Barbara. It's only you and one other person, but guess what? There are volunteers who want to join you.
Yeah.
There are universities full of young people who would love to get clipboards in hand and walk door to door with you.
We need them.
Yes. They, show them how to sort of get that volunteer pool going, and also to keep them engaged as well.
Right.
Showing them what a win looks like. And some wins are small, some wins are big. Some campaigns can go on for years.
Yeah.
But what you do is you put together small wins. You make sure that you're giving people you're giving them the fuel they need to keep going in the struggle. And I think that it actually, the Bible says when you water someone else, you water yourself. And so as you give that to somebody else, you're also giving yourself the motivation to keep going as well. I find that when I'm talking to people about work or issues or things that I'm doing, I basically re-energize myself and realize that I remember why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so we, again, we want the workshop to be able to do that for those, for the groups, not just in Louisiana, but this is going to be a national program that we do. It's going to be a Zoom call, and these trainings will take place quarterly. And to find out more information, folks can just go to anthropocenealliance.org. The link will be on our website, and the training dates will be on our website as well.
And anyone can join this, or do you have to be involved in an organization already? It's for organizations?
It's for organizations, but if there are people who are or individuals who would like to join, I'm not going to hold the door. I don't gatekeep this type of information, but if people would like to join, we welcome them.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful, because there are people who are now showing interest in working with us and working in the field, and so we want to make sure that they can, even with us, because we want them to come with us. So
Yes.
If they can get the training, just by signing on with Concerned Citizens of St. John, because we want to build our our organizing community as well.
Yes.
So I'm so happy for that. I know that everything that you've done so far for us has been wonderful, and especially giving us opportunities for more grants. So that we can actually stay stay alive.
Now, I will say that when people see this, I want them to understand that we don't have the capacity to service every single member with grant funding. It's just not there. We're a small group. We're mighty, but we're small. But what we can do is if we can't directly give you, we will point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
And we definitely will. Our grants department will definitely connect you
Yeah.
to something that makes sense for you.
Yeah.
We have our staff who are always still looking out for grants and sending it out on the
Yes.
on the listserv. Hey, this is available. This is available. And usually our grants department will let you know, hey, we can't quite, help you to apply because it would be a heavy lift. But we can, if you need to, maybe go over some of the grant requirements, the narrative, the RFP, maybe help to edit anything that you've written, things like that, sort of help you where we can. Because I would love to say that we have this vast grants department. We have a wonderful grants department, but it may be too big for everybody to sort of bombard, to have 400 plus groups bombarding them. But we, again, on an individual basis, try our best to help members.
Well, what you see is what each one of the members' needs are.
Yes, we do a
Because
triage.
when I get that email saying this looks like it's a great fit for you, that's a wonderful thing for me. I don't know how to go shopping, grant shopping.
Grant shopping. We grant shop for you, girl.
You grant shop for me. You just put it in the basket, and then I can call you and say, well, how do can you work? Tell us. Let's explain this. Let's talk through it, and that's it.
Well, there have been, again, in the past, we've had EPA grants. Now we haven't gutted EPA. There's nothing. We have had EPA grants where we're the grant. We receive the grant, then our members are the grantees, and we just hustle the money out the door as quickly as possible because obviously we have people on staff who were familiar with federal grants or who are familiar with federal grants. I think the only train moving in that direction is now the national, we call it NIFWA, National Fisheries and Wildlife. Thank God that they are still funding, and we're in there right now. As a matter of fact, they've just released an RFP for the Gulf Coast Resilience Project, and I think that we thank God that we're able to tie our members into those types of things. And we will be sort of taking the lead on that one and then helping our members to sort of write anything after that. If you're inside of a grant already, and then it extends itself or it blooms out or there's another piece to it, then guess what? We'll be there to sort of do a little bit of hand-holding because, we've already started that process. But I think that, I wouldn't want to put it out there in the universe that we're
doing it all.
Yeah, I think that Jack would be very upset if I did. Jack,
I don't want to hurt him. I'm just
Jack
saw
and
him
I
recently.
would kill me.
Yes. That team there is who I normally talk to, and they just kind of fielding it through, and I understand that.
Oh, they're awesome, but again,
they have so much they can do.
Yeah.
But I just need them to just help me.
They will.
So far, so good.
They'll find a way. We'll
so
find a
far,
way.
so good. So when we always get like a pushback on outside troublemakers. Now we understand that the petrochemical industries were not born and raised and built, and just said, I'm gonna, just build right here where this plantation was. But when we talk about people who are good neighbors from a distance, we talk about people like you, because you see a need and you come and you help us.
Yeah.
That is so important to differentiate between an outside troublemaker, someone who brings in toxic emissions, who's not regulated and really doesn't care about the community, to people who actually come in and stand and lift you up when you're just fighting for basic necessities.
Well, and thank you for that. I think that a part of it is that A2 has never said we're going to jump into your community. A2's hired a person who's, and that's where we're going now, hiring somebody who's from the community to help the people in the community. So when I was hired, we're talking about when I hire organizers, I'm not hiring somebody in New York to go to Arizona. I'm hiring somebody from Arizona to work in Arizona. They know the landscape. They know the people. They know how this is supposed to work. They know how to approach and address people. We have Oklahoma. We have an organizer in Oklahoma. The organizer in Oklahoma is a Native American young lady, and she's bringing tribes to the table who are working on water insecurity issues and trying to protect the Illinois River. I mean, you have. They know that you want to sink into, as a national organization. I think that Harriet and now Arif, who is our new executive director, Arif Ullah, are very mindful of the fact that we want to do this work with people. We don't want to take over their issues. We don't want to overtake them with what we want. We want to we want to help send somebody into the community who's from the community to do the work of the community.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and I love that.
One thing I like to add before we leave, you talked earlier a second ago about outside people coming in, right? Mm-hmm. Well, as I said, I was just at a conference recently in Mississippi, and one thing that they brought up that was eye-popping to me, ProPublica.com has a map. They call it the cancer map. And you can go there and you can type in your address and you can see specifically how these plants extend their pollution from their location out. And it's amazing to me how far away you can be from these plants and still be affected by what goes on there.
Oh.
I live in Gentilly, Louisiana, and it shows me that I'm getting pollution from St. Bernard, from St. Charles. I mean, it is really like eye-opening, because a lot of us live in communities where, that's happening down in St. Bernard. That's happening out here in St. John.
Right.
That's happening over there in St. Charles. It's not affecting me.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
It is. Well, and the river. I mean, the river turns. You find you could say you live far away, when in essence the river's turned and the air is blowing straight to you from somewhere else.
Exactly.
We live a good distance from Union Carbide. That's St. Charles Parish, West Bank of St. Charles Parish. But when you look at it from I'm not trying to tell you to go on Google Maps and map the distance to drive there. I'm talking about that straight line to that plant. Mm-hmm. And when the winds are blowing a certain way, you're going to get the ethylene oxide coming from there. You're going to get the poisons. When EPA was studying the chloroprene, they actually requested a plat map of how the chloroprene was going into the air. Mm-hmm. And it covered the entire parish. So yes, Dinka is right here on the River Road Reserve LaPlace line. And if you live north of Airline Highway towards the lake, you think that you're not getting exposed. But the fact is, the entire parish, from Lake Pontchartrain in Maurepas to the spillway to St. James Parish, across the river, all the way to Lake the Zalmans, everywhere in this parish was exposed to chloroprene. It's more concentrated the closer you are. But so it got a little less as it panned out, but it covered the entire parish. The winds don't decide. They don't come to a block and says, okay, we can't go past this neighborhood.
Exactly.
We can only go here. And so for anyone to believe that the impact of any of the petrochemical industries along the river, the way the river turns and the way the actual air blows, that they're not exposed is ludicrous for you to think that you're not getting that exposure.
There was a fire down in St. Bernard a few years ago. Mm-hmm. Were you going to reference that? There was a fire down at the one of the oil refineries in St. Bernard. And I told you I'm from the Ninth Ward. I'm from Lower 9 across the canal. I had to say it like that. And when we checked to see if there was going to be any sort of, what was this? What was the effects of it? And are they paying people?
Right. Right.
When we checked, they said, "Oh no, it didn't. It didn't go as far as the Ninth Ward." You mean to tell me that toxins are smart now? Yeah. That they will stop. They say, "Oh no, that's the parish line. We can't go to the Ninth Ward. We can only be in St. Bernard Parish." I could walk into St. Bernard Parish.
Yeah.
There's no. I can look, and from where I used to live, I could see straight into St. Bernard Parish. And so you mean to tell me that those toxins knew? They're smart. They knew to stop right at the parish line. Toxins in the water know. Oh no, don't stop. This is St. James's, or this is St. John's contamination. Don't go into Orleans. Don't go into Jefferson. So I think that it's crazy. And it's just ludicrous, and I think it's even more crazy that these companies want us to believe it.
Well, they do, and that's what they say. And who are you going to believe when there's nobody telling you the truth? Sometimes we don't even understand how simple things are to understand for yourself. Because honestly, it's so big.
Right.
So marathon burns, and they evacuate people, and they said, you're not safe right now. Evacuate. Of course, the kids are at school playing, and I say this all the time. They made a statement that said that nothing bad crossed the fence line. What is the fence line? Even we know that a fence is not going to stop air. What? I mean, I'm waiting to see this giant glass thing that goes up so high that it actually contains, because I would love for them to have that. I would love for them to have that.
Right, wouldn't it be
but
great?
unfortunately, that does not work
The
like
only
that.
time I've ever seen anything like that constructed was in Chernobyl after the nuclear disaster. They built what is called a sarcophagus around that to try to contain the nuclear.
After
after
the fact.
After the
After.
fact.
After.
Exactly. So we've never seen anything like that in any of our communities. So, I mean, it was just eye-popping to me to be able to click on, different addresses and see that even communities that you would not think are still affected, which is so much why we need organizing.
Yeah.
Because so many people just do not know.
Yeah.
And the job of my job and the job of all of the organizers who work for A2 and work for Louisiana Grassroots United and all of our grassroots organizations is to go out in the community and educate people on what's going on in their community.
And that's the purpose of the podcast.
And yes.
That's the purpose of this podcast, is to say this is real and learn something new and understand it. And it is big, but we still need to make a difference. We need to stand up and make sure that we are heard and seen.
Yes.
And it's important that we do that. We got to walk the walk. Don't tell, but when I was growing up, we were like, people getting sick. And, and we can sit in our little, families and say, it's got to be all these plants. But we had nothing to prove anything. Now there's so much data. Now we can go to a website and click on it, and we can see real-time emissions of all of this around us. Man, I was so sick today. Why is my head stopped up? Why does all of my students at school, why are they all calling in or having to go to the emergency room with asthma? Let's see what's going on right now. And you go to this website, and there it is, spewing all over everything, whatever the wind direction is going, it's there for us to use. And we're going to have to share those websites, because we haven't been putting them up where people can see it. So we're going to have to put that on our social media pages.
And that is spreading to so many different communities. When I was a kid, we would go down to St. Bernard and go to Rocky and Carlos and go to these different places, John Fro's. And, if we would smell rotten eggs on a certain day, it would be, we wouldn't think anything about it. But now we know.
Yeah.
And that's the education. And just this past week, a lot of residents down in St. Bernard are now putting pressure on the Shell Metal Oil Refinery because of what's going on there, including a couple of their city council members.
I'm so happy for that.
Yes. So it is. The tide has turned.
Yes.
And it is so ripe that we have organizations like ours, like yours, who are banding together to push and push and push and fight for people who for decades have not had their voice heard.
Absolutely.
And that is our goal, and that's what we're trying to do.
And we appreciate you. Concerned Citizens of St. John appreciate you. And I know that any organization that I talk to to them about you guys and what you're doing, especially Louisiana Grassroots United, because we all say that. We need to get together. We need to do this. Well, yeah, it's time.
It's happening
That's
now.
finally doing
Join
it.
the
We need to
fight.
Yes.
make a plan,
Yeah.
join the fight, and let's keep moving forward in this advocacy.
Yes.
Make sure that the people we're putting in office vote. Make sure that the people are working for your community and for your well-being. And if they're not, then we need to vote differently.
And speaking
And
of that, we're going to be having tabling events. We're going to be out to in all of our different states. We're going to be having voter registration forms available for people because, as you said, one of the ways that you keep pressure on people is to vote,
Yeah,
and we want people to register.
absolutely.
And we want people, this is an election year here in 2026, we want people to register and we want people to vote because not only do we have to hold these corporations and these polluters accountable, but we also have to hold the politicians who allow these polluters to do what they do accountable.
Yeah, we have to be more diligent in who we actually put in office. And we need to be grooming the next leaders to care more about
To
their
care
environment.
more. That's correct.
Grooming them. So we thank you so much for joining us today. I'd love to know what each one of you believes a good neighbor looks like. Tanya?
A good neighbor will join the fight and pass the spirit of fight on to the next generation.
I like.
Well, a good neighbor to me is a neighbor who, we have two different kind of neighbors in this world. We have the ones that build up fences around their houses, and then we have others who open their house. A good neighbor is going to be the one who opens their house, who goes out to the community, who looks around their neighborhood and says, we need to get together and we need to make our world and our neighborhood and our block and our street better for our children and for ourselves. And we are in an era of which it is so needed
Absolutely.
for us to break down the walls that we have built around us and around our communities and to go out into our communities and work together for the betterment of everybody and not just a certain few.
I agree.
Please use his, don't use mine.
If you want to revamp yours,
Okay,
you
well,
can do
I'll
that
revamp it. I'll
because he
just say
kind of
that,
did that thing just now.
He just did that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, one more time. A good neighbor looks like you.
Oh, that's it?
That's it.
All
All right, bam. I did not.
Tops me now.
No, dude. That was.
We're back and
It's okay. You're in a safe place. It's not a competition.
It is not.
But you heard what she said. I work hard. I do. It looks easy, but it's not. So I thank you. I thank you for joining us again for another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. All of our guests are here to enlighten you, to educate you. Please share the videos. Please come together and let's make a change in our lives, starting right at our kitchen tables, right at our counters, right in the car driving home or to school. We thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again on another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Thank you.